everybody, welcome back to Bentley House. I'm Ara, and today I'm going to be doing a continuation of my Q&A, which you may have already seen, but if not, I will put a link in the description below. There was one question in particular that I had a lot to say about, so I wanted to make sure and make this video separate in case you have this question specifically for yourself and you want to hear my suggestions. So the question was from Creation Odyssey, and she asked, Mom plus miniatures, how does that even work? My stuff is constantly going missing and I only have one. So I have several ideas on this. Now keep in mind, this is something that's worked for me and my kids, and you can always try it, but it may not work for you, or you might find something different works. If you're also a miniaturist or artist plus mom and you have other suggestions, feel free to put them in the comments, because someone who is having a time struggling with this may be reading through the comments and find it helpful. So my first suggestion, which I use in not just my art supplies, but in the rest of my parenting, is to be honest with my kids and tell them the truth. So if I don't want them to touch my X-Acto blade, I let them know it's because they could hurt themselves and bleed. And usually that's enough for them to want to stay away from the X-Acto knife. That also helps build some common sense, because you never know what other place they might be in where they see a sharp object. Just be honest with them, tell them that this is how it will hurt you, it will hurt, do not touch it. Now that's easy with things that look dangerous. With things that are your artwork that you don't want them to touch, with older kids it's easier, don't touch this, this is mommy's, just stay away from it. But with younger kids you can't always do that. So if you can be honest with them, if they're kids that understand directions and rules, then just tell them, this area you do not touch my stuff. But if not, then I have some other suggestions for younger kids. Suggestion number 2 would be security locks and locking cabinets. Now these cabinets that are back here behind me are IKEA cabinets, and they come with a lock. And now if you already have a cabinet at home and you don't want to go out and buy new cabinets, there are kid locks that you can adhere to the front of the cabinet that keeps the supplies inside safe from your kids. And you want to put that lock up as high as possible, especially for those little bitty ones. Now on this cabinet I'm going to show you, I have installed a lock at the top of the cabinet. It's been on there for about 3 years and it's not showing any sign of falling off, so I find that it's a pretty secure lock. And inside I keep my spray paints, rubbing alcohol, anything that might be dangerous for my children, I make sure that I keep in this locked cabinet and that I keep it locked at all times. My third suggestion for those kids that just can't stay out of your space is to give them their own space. Now my daughter has her own desk in my art studio. Even when I had a really small room in our other home, I made space for my child because I knew she was going to be in there whether I liked it or not. So if you can, if it's at all possible, make sure you have a little space for your child. If it's not a permanent space, get like a little pop-up table somewhere where they can be near to you, because it lets them feel like they're a part of what you're doing, but then they also have their own space to make their own mess, and it keeps them out of your space. My daughter also has her own art supplies and her own drawers. If you don't have a drawer that you can spare, you can also get them a small box that has their name on it, so they know that these are their art supplies. They can get into them whenever they want, they can use them whenever they want, but then also make them responsible for putting them back so that they can continue to learn how to clean up after themselves and take care of the space that you're allowing them to have in your space. Now, if you're a miniaturist, there's going to be times where you have children that want to play with your artwork. And I'm bringing this in. This is my Trojan horse, and I made it last year sometime. And my oldest daughter, who is really good at following directions, and I told her not to touch it, took me a long time to make it, it's not a toy, was obsessed with this horse. And she just wanted to play with it. She wanted to take it in her room, she wanted to put it with her toys and play with it, and she could not get over the obsession with this miniature. So in order to help her with that, I allowed her to have supervised playtime. So this is another suggestion. You can have supervised playtime when your child cannot just let something go or cannot keep their hands off one of your projects. Set aside some time, tell your child, okay, you can play with this. in here or wherever you want them to be. I will watch you and I will make sure that you are playing with it correctly, show them how to have gentle hands, show them that it doesn't go on the floor, you can't hit it with a hammer or whatever they want to do. And so for my daughter, I put this on her desk where she wanted to play with it. She went and got all her My Little Pony toys and whatever she wanted to do to play with this horse. And she played with it for about 2 hours straight. And when she was done, obsession over. She hasn't talked about this horse since then. It's just a way to go ahead and let them quench their curiosity. They get to play with something that's really cool, and they're even more excited about it because you made it. And so keep that in mind. They just want to be a part of what you're doing. And my last tip, this is especially for people with two to 3-year-olds, because a lot of times those guys are sneaky. And it's hard to just do supervised playtime. It's hard to talk to them and say, hey, don't do this, this isn't a good idea, this is dangerous, because they don't really care. They're 2. And so my biggest suggestion for you with the little ones is to set up a decoy. And this is what I mean. For example, this would be like this project. Can y'all see that? I would make sure that it's on a level where they could see it. It's right at their eye line, so it's, you know, very attractive. They're going to beeline straight towards it. I'm going to take some miniatures that are pretty chunky, not too delicate. This is just like a little wooden chest, and then this is a metal pencil sharpener. So you want to take something that's pretty sturdy, or something that's easily fixable, or if you have some miniatures, like they have like little rubber animals that you can buy at Hobby Lobby, something that is miniature but is not so delicate. Don't put your favorite miniatures in there. So then you're just going to put those into the eye level project and leave it. And then you're going to go work and kind of turn your back to the project. What they're going to do is they're going to come in, and if you say to them, this is your project, this is where you can play, they're not going to want to play there. So don't do that. It's not going to work. If you don't say anything about it, go back to your work, they're going to walk over and start touching things. And they're going to look at you like this. And then they're going to keep playing and moving things around. And you can look back at them, and they're going to be waiting for you to say, no, don't touch. But you're just going to say, be careful. Because then they realize they're playing with something important. They're playing with your things, and they're going to want to be careful, hopefully. Now, if you have a thrower, you might want to be a little bit more cautious with that. Don't put the metal minis in there, okay? But, you know, just kind of judge it. Go with the flow. If they think they are playing with something that is important, I think they're a little bit more careful. They feel special. And if they do break something, which my son has broken some of my miniatures playing innocently, it's a lesson. It's saying, okay, well look, you broke mommy's miniature. Next time you need to be more careful. Now, he didn't know that it wasn't like my favorite miniature in the whole world. I did not make a big dramatic scene and go, oh, you broke my miniatures. You know, it was a lesson. It was, okay, you were playing with something that's not yours and you broke it. You need to say sorry, and next time we'll be more careful. And I let him continue to play with my miniatures, and he was more careful. And as he's grown up, he's continued to be able to play with my miniatures, and he's developed more of a sense of how careful he needs to be with those types of things. So I hope you guys enjoy my 5 suggestions on how to work with your children versus your art supplies in miniatures. This could also apply for painters or artists that use different supplies that children don't need to be into. If you have any suggestions you want to share with other moms, please put them in the comments. I would love to hear them as well. I'm not perfect, and so sometimes I walk in and my kids still are not doing what I would expect them to be doing, but we're working on it. These are some things that have worked for me. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!